Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. I'm your host, NJ. Again, welcome to Boss Radio Live, where he is the boss of me. I have a great guest today. This is going to be a really interesting conversation, so I cannot wait. My guest today is Debby Kruszewski, and she is a certified dream manager. Okay, so we're going to find out what that is, but I'm excited for this conversation. So that is coming right up. Share the broadcast, everyone. Let people know to come and watch because this is going to be a really good one. It's Boss Radio Live with NJ, your three-dimensional podcast. Baltimore, Maryland. I love my city. Wow. You have to have balance.
Mother's Day extravaganza event being held by LUC Lois Butler Culver.
Come meet me today at the Spirit Center. I want to hear what you have to say. Again, welcome to Boss Radio Live. We are about to bring on my guest, Miss Debby Kruszewski. And so I want you guys to get ready for this really interesting conversation. But in case you have never heard of Debby and this dream management, I can't wait to get into this conversation. Here's a little bit about her. Debby Kruszewski, author, business consultant, coach, and certified dream manager. A former COO, Debby expanded to begin helping people reach their dreams and goals, including business owners who wanted to foster more productive and successful employees. As what she calls a dream pollinator and a survivor of crushed dreams herself, Debby believes that no matter how deep your dream is buried, it can be reignited, creating the most powerful version of you. Yes, so everyone, please welcome my guest, Debby Kruszewski. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I think I just hired you as my marketing manager. That was beautiful. Like, oh my gosh.
I love putting those together.
Yeah.
They do a much better job than me.
I'm like, wow, that's pretty serious. I love that.
Hey, I think it warrants it. And this conversation, I can't wait for this conversation because this is going to be really interesting to learn about this dream management. I'm so excited to learn more about this. But let's kind of start at the beginning. So as I said in the intro, you were a COO. And somehow you got into this certified dream management. You're a coach, you're a consultant, but tell us about that transition. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, who wants to make money and, have a fancy title? Yeah, but honestly, that's what it was. Having money and a fancy title did not give me the fulfillment that I was told it would. I did it. I came, I saw, I conquered, and I was miserable. I couldn't have been more miserable in my life. And I just listened to what was in my heart. I really had to dig in deep because I was terrified if I stayed. I was terrified of what kind of harm I was going to do and afraid that I may not be alive if I stayed for another 6 months. Wow. So yeah, I really took the time to dig in deep into myself and just said, God, tell me what I need to do. And I listened from my heart. And he said, just leave. Why are you here? Just leave and start writing and let it take its own shape and form. And I will take care of the rest. So I did. Wow. I'm like, well, you know what, God, I really told you no many times. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know what's going on here. I mean, come on. I have a fancy title and, you know, a lot of money in my paycheck. So, I mean, really, but, you know, it came to a point of it's time I start listening because this is just not happy. And, you know, I want to live and I have so much to offer and I'm going to listen to you this time. So I did. I left my job. I started writing. I wrote 3 books in 9 months. All
Wow.
yeah, a lot of for me, I'm like, oh, I could have done it faster, but you know, it was very confusing and trying, but I did it and put them out there, and it just really took life of its own, and people really flocked to it and saw messages that I didn't even plan. I'm like, totally meant for that to happen. So,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that was planned. I didn't even realize that.
I love it.
Yeah, and every time, you know, I have people that go back to it. They're like, I want to read this book at least once a year because I go back to it, and since I've evolved as a person, I see new things. So for me, I'm like, wow, my writing is powerful, my message is powerful, and you know, it is all about going through life and crazy things. You're like, why did that happen? Why did I meet this person? Why am I in this situation? And just really knowing that you're loved and that you're protected, and you know, God's always guiding you in some way, shape, or form, and you just gotta trust the plan and go with it. And so here I am trusting the plan, and I let it take an evolution. I'm continuing to write. I do also write a blog as well, and I decided that so many people are coming to me and asking me for help of, you know, tell me, how did you do this? I can't believe you just left your job and became a writer. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, well, you know what I really enjoyed at all of my jobs was being able to see people. And I realized that there's this gift that I had been given of, you know what, I can look at you and I could see so much potential and I could see all the goodness in you. And that's why I became good at hiring the right people, because I looked for value. I looked for qualities. I didn't look for like what the checkoff list was on the resume. And so I just decided, hey, I could do this for companies to help them get people to be the best version of themselves. I could do it for individuals, and
Mhm.
I can make a big difference. And so I decided to take it a step further, and I got certified as a dream manager coach, which is about, if you're following the dreams in your heart, you are fulfilled. You know, if you're just working on getting to those dreams, those goals get accomplished. If you're taking care of yourself, you know, you're a better person for everybody around you. It's not about dollar signs. You know, abundance means
Yeah.
so much. So, you know, all these lessons that I've learned, I just take it a step further. And, you know, I teach meditation as well. I do talks about, you know, just becoming the best version of yourself just by based on following what's on your heart and finding your dreams and accomplishing them, because they weren't given to you as, oh, I'm going to tell you you want something so bad and then be like, nope, you can't have it. That's not how we were built. It feels like
Mm.
that. It feels like that. We tell ourselves that. We tell ourselves all these negative and ugly things that aren't true. And the only people that think they're true is us. And we ask other people to, you know, think them of us. Why don't we turn it around? Why don't we just only look at the goodness and the things that we can exude in ourselves and we can give to others? And why don't we just talk about that? Why don't we stay positive? And the more you open yourself into those areas and avenues of thinking, the bigger the opportunities are. The fulfillment of, oh, wow, I really always wanted to do that, it shows up, and how it becomes easier and easier. And, you know, I just love working and helping people get there and follow their dreams because they're on your heart for a reason. So dream big.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. And so you you mentioned some of the things that can come from if you follow your dreams, the positive things, right? But people struggle with this. They really struggle because, they have bills and they have, some people's like, oh, I have great insurance. Oh, I have, these things that I have going on. And so I can't leave my job. It's just doesn't make sense for me. And so people, that's the self-talk that they have going on. And so they go year after year after year and just say, no, I can't do it. But what, once if we make this leap, right? Because this is definitely a leap. This is
Yeah.
a leap to do that. What you did took a lot of faith.
Yes.
And so talk a bit about that, like, because it's not, I'm sure it hasn't always been easy.
Oh, no.
If right. So, hey, let's be honest, things are gonna happen. It may be some up and down, but talk about that, about keeping your faith throughout this whole thing, because it took a whole lot of faith to do it initially.
Yeah. I mean, faith scares people, and faith, people think that it means so many things. And it does mean, it is different to everybody, but we all have faith because we believe that God is here, and and he's in control. And people that say, oh, I don't believe in that, there's something to not believe in. So we all, we can have a whole philosophical chat about all of that. But uh I always had faith. And I was sort of, as I'm in this journey now, I could look back. I was talked out of faith. I was taught how to not have faith and to not trust, and
Wow.
conversations of, you know, when you're younger and people are like, no, that, I can't do that, or no, you can't have that, or why would you think that? And just not being able to express what signs that I was getting from God, the messages that I was getting, and my trust. So I was told to question my trust a lot. And I learned a valuable lesson, that I actually am working on a blog piece for. And I think it's important about trust. There's no coincidence about who's in your life and things that happen. And a friend that I used to work with years ago, he passed away. Um, I mean, I think he was probably about 60, maybe a year or two or before. He was in that age range. I don't know how he died. I heard that he was sick, and it was pretty sudden. And he's somebody that literally we were at each other's throats when I met him, like, we were just at it. And to he was not a kind person at that time, and he would say nasty things. He didn't lead the greatest life, and there's no need for me to say what that all looked like. Um, but one day he just decided, like, I need to live a clean life, and I need to get closer to God. And it was not from who that was. You're like, what? And he did, and he turned his life to God. He became a Muslim, uh, and ever since that, he changed who he was, and he was a kind and warm-hearted person. He still had his edge, and that will always be his personality. You can't take that away. And he became not only somebody that I admired and just really appreciated, he became a friend. And I had a really bad time, uh, back in 2007, and this is where my faith really showed up. I had a horrible breakup. I left my secured, easy job that I could still be sitting there, to go work at a new startup that I got there in like 3 months and they went bankrupt, so so I lost that job, and like there was a few other things that just was like pile it on, and I really thought that, like, why I did something wrong, I'm being punished. And I had, a full out self-destruction phase. And I, just any ounce of liquor in my house, drank. I spent the whole
Wow.
weekend on my kitchen floor. I threw every glass that I owned at the clock, I was throwing it out the wall. There was a clock there. It happened to fall and break. And I was just like, I'm going to die here. I'm just going to die. That's what I deserve. I did something wrong somewhere. And I really think I did die that day. And my friend called me at like 4 a.m. and he just said, I don't know why at this moment I feel the need to call you, but I know it. I know how hard this is for you. And I want to let you know you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And you know what? I got up, I cleaned myself off. I went to sleep. The next day, I cleaned up my whole house. And I just was like, I'm going to do that. Like, why am I'm not going to look back. And I asked a bold prayer without realizing it. Like, God, I need somebody to get me out of this. And he called. And, that was a long time ago. I probably stopped working with him. I think like a year later. Last time I saw him was in 2019, and I heard somebody screaming my name, and I found him through a sea of people. And he was pretty short and a little round, so he used to make fun of me because I would like tower over him, and I'm known for always wearing heels, so I'm like over towering him. He's like, you're still short. That's good to know. I'm like, okay. And I, was like, oh, I see you're still working on getting fat. That's great. It's like time never went away. Right. And he's just like, I gotta run. I'm sorry. I got to go pray for sundown. And I was like, yeah, okay, no problem. And he just said, you know what, you're going to miss me one day. And I'm like, oh, like you're going to like disappear on me. I doubt that. So another bold prayer that happened was during COVID. I was like, God, I want this. I need this. You have to, I thought that was a bold prayer. And I didn't see that, you don't tell God what you want. God, you have to give me $1 million because that would just like clear all my problems,
Right.
But, learning that, asking all those things and you're like, well, you could play that game of, well, why doesn't God love me? Where is my faith? And I realized I wrote in a book, I wanted somebody to specifically to call me, but I knew in my heart, it wasn't the right thing. I was gasping for something that no longer existed. It was bad. And I realized now that looking back, I went to write it in my journal and I couldn't even write his name. I wrote his initials. And I was like, I really would like to hear from him. But what I really should have wrote was, you know what, Lord, I really need to hear from somebody that's going to comfort me during this time of isolation and being scared and living in fear. I really do. And a few hours later, I wrote it the night before and I woke up very early to go for a walk and watch the sunrise. My friend that had just passed away, he called me. And I was like, and today is the day that I realized somebody else has those same initials.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that they both had the same initials because it's so they both have a unique name, and I don't, no need to say names. So I was like, I should have asked the prayer of, I need somebody to comfort me instead of, it has to be this, it has to look like this. So back to that day back in 2007 when I was laying on the floor in my kitchen. The other day, I was doing dishes and this dish just popped out of my hand and on the floor. And I went to go on the floor and I ended up sitting down and I felt myself back in that moment in 2007. And I looked at the clock. I'm like, I don't know, why did I put that stupid clock back? It stopped since that day. And I'm like, no, I'm in a new beginning. And there's no need to be holding this badge of something that happened 1 million years ago to me. I need a new beginning. And I heard my friend's voice go, just get a new clock. What's wrong with you? Like, go get a new clock. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I can't believe this guy is in my head right now. And that afternoon, I found out that he had passed away. And I feel like, that's a lot sign of faith of like, God always puts you in touch with people that you don't understand. They always come through, and you're always connected to them. And having the reminder of that clock and putting in a new clock is a new beginning, not only for me but
Mm,
for my friend. And he needed somebody, as well, in those times. And
wow.
so for me, just this recent coming of faith, and still continuing the bold prayers, but take things off of it. So when you say, people are always worried about money, that always comes up first, right? Oh, I can't leave my job, I have kids, I have
Yeah.
bills to feed, I have the perfect insurance, I have a pension, I have all of these things. That's may not, because you're praying for an answer that you don't know what the answer really looks like. Instead of praying of, Lord, I am not living a fulfilled life in this job. I am struggling. I am scared. I am asking God, put me in the right situation, put me where my goals are, and what I'm really good at, put me in the right skill set. I'm going to let you take care of it, but I'm going to trust in you, God, that you are going to help me get to my dreams, because you put me here for a reason, and you gave me my dreams for a reason. So when I work with people, I ask them to take those layers off,
Mm,
take the money layer off, take the I'm worried about my job layer off, take all those layers off, because once you just keep weeding through, you start to see what your dream is and what it looks like. And that is God doing work in you. He's like, all right, come on, let's keep going. Let's keep looking for it. And once realize what it is, you could put a plan together to start making it happen. And that's the most exciting part is, the people that are like, I'm going to get you. I can't leave my job and I can't. It's okay. Let's start peeling the onion here. Let's get to what it looks like. Let's get to what your real dream is, because you stopped dreaming because you told yourself no.
mm.
And,
I think that's a good point.
yeah, we all tell ourselves, oh, I can't. And we'll tell ourselves no. And then we'll go and ask somebody that we know is going to say no, and be like, see, like dream crush right off the bat.
Wow.
And then you're like, yep, why would you do? And then you're mad. And then you're mad at your faith, and you're mad at yourself. And then you dig yourself deeper away from your dream, instead of saying, this is really crazy, I'm going to do it.
Mm,
And you can, like, I love to say, like, I'm going to leave my job, my safe job, and I have make a really nice paycheck, but I want to be a professional skydiver. I feel it. I'm going to do it. And everybody's going to go, no, you're not. No, I don't think so. Go back to work. You're like, no, I'm going to do it. But you put a plan together. And you take a class, you take a lesson, you actually go skydiving, you learn more about it. And it could be like, oh gosh, that's a little bit much. But maybe it's like, you know what, but I really love that adrenaline of going up in the plane. Well, maybe you should be an airline pilot. Maybe you should learn more about aviation. Maybe you should work in that industry. You realize it looks like this, but it may not actually be that. And going through that process, and
mm.
inviting those people that are like, no. And once they see you working on that process in yourself, they're like, I'm kind of excited for this too. Like, I think, yeah, that works for you. I can see that. Yeah. Oh, you know what I want to do? And then it just snowballs. So instead of
Wow.
sitting around with everybody and saying, we don't have this, we're mad, we're jealous, we're upset, all of these things, why don't you create your own dream factory? Why don't you create these energies, support each other, and do it? So that's why I love to work with people and get their family involved. I love to work with companies and get the whole department involved, get people excited about their dreams, and watch how all those mundane, boring things that you do, you're like, I'll get it done, no problem. Oh, look, and I'll even put a little bow on it, and I'll do a little extra. And you're just like, great, off my plate. I can get to my dream now, right? I can work on this now.
Wow.
And you see that excitement, and you see clients are like, I love your employees. This is the best. People want to be around with you more because you're happy and you're excited. And that is more contagious than negativity. And it overcomes. And it's just such a beautiful process. And I don't know. I might tell King Charles, like, listen, maybe I should just step in for you right now.
Well,
Take over from here. No, I'm just trying to be funny,
I
but
think him and Camilla would love to just go away
let's just
somewhere and
hang
chill
out.
out.
Yeah. Hang out and look pretty. I'll do it.
Right.
I'm being funny, but
So you talked a bit about, the process that people go through, that you take people through when they're on their path to identify their dreams. Can you talk a bit more about that? Like, how do you get them to the point where they can identify these dreams and goals? Because in the intro, we were talking about buried dreams, right? So some people bury them so deep that they cannot, they're gone. They forget all about them. It's buried so deep that it's not even in their head what these things are.
yeah.
So you talked about the like trying different things, but are there other ways that you kind of help people identify what their dreams and goals are?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a 10-minute process and you have it all figured out. I mean, it took me months to dig into what I think dreams should look like. So many of them I forgot, and so many of them have changed or evolved. Making a strong list of try to get yourself to 100 dreams and work with them on jogging like their memories. So things that are pretty easy, like if you can go anywhere in the world, where would you go? It's like, oh well, I'm not going to go to New Jersey, like let's go. Let's go.
France,
Let's go
Netherlands.
big. Like I don't know, like Disney World seems pretty small when you say that. Like I want to go overseas. Like I want to go on walk the Camino, at climb Kilimanjaro. Like you think of other places, and then someone's like, I want to go to Greece. I want to go there too. And you start to think of that. And then, another silly, easy one is, well, if you could drive any car in the world, what kind of car would you drive? And, some of them are wild and crazy, but it's like, yeah, I don't really need that. But you get yourself back into that mindset of, yeah, well, what would I drive? Well, what would my house look like? Well, and look at what you look like in these dreams, right? Because I'm pretty sure all those negative things that we talked about before that you have on your list, I'm sure you don't look like that. I'm sure you look like your favorite supermodel or your favorite glam couple, and I'm sure you look more like that, right? So why don't you work on the things that you can work on to look like that image in your picture, and focus on what that image of you is in that picture and not worry about the stuff.
Mm.
So if you're like, I'm kind of overweight, like I don't look good, like, so let's work on that. I can't have that because I can't afford it. I don't have money. I can't buy a car like that. But you want it? So let's work on getting your finances in order. Let's look at what that looks like. Let's look at what does your career look like? Are you doing what you are fulfilled to do? Let's look at what your spirituality looks like. Let's look at the relationships in your life. Are you with people that serve you or bring you down? Are you with people that
Good
bring
one.
you up? And
Yeah.
you gotta, it's not so cut and dry. It's not so easy. It's work. It's a lot of
Mhm.
work that I will put you through, but it's worth it work. So when you're
Yes.
getting all excited for these dreams, look at what you look like in that dream. And then you're like, you realize I really just want the better version of me. I don't need the stuff. And I am happy, but I'm not. I do like my house. I do like my spouse. I do love my kids, but I can't give them what I want because I'm miserable and mad. And what is it? Is it your career? Is it because you're scared about finances? I've learned every avenue of being broke and all the avenues of being rich. And you know what? They're kind of a lot alike. They're just in different directions. And when you're broke, there are opportunities for you. There are ways to get out of debt. There are ways to buy a house. There are ways to survive. it just, you've been told like all these scary stuff, and you see somebody who, is homeless, or, how did that happen to those people? You can get yourself out of that. Are those the best stories of, oh, well,
Mhm.
I didn't know where my next paycheck was coming from. I was living in my car. And all of a sudden, I listened to an interview with Jewel, the singer. She's a country singer.
Yes.
And that was her story. She was like, I was homeless. I was living in a car with my mom, and I knew that I didn't give up, and I knew that I had talent. And I went to a coffee shop and I was like, how about this? I'll sing and bring people in, and you just charge like a little fee for my services, and whatever is at the door, I take home. And somebody in a record deal came and met her, and she just, you just, if you're living in your dream and you trust it, those avenues are gone. And
Well, yeah.
yeah, and then look at all the people that made it and lost it, like MC Hammer was one of the, Tony Braxton, like very famous, well-known people in the 90s that went public about, I had to go bankrupt. you know
Right.
it wasn't about the money, and they were both spiritual people, and it wasn't about the money. They let all of that drive them, and think that, oh, having money is going to give me more and more, and it didn't. So learn from the people around you, and know that there's a way and an opportunity in every level of where you are in life, and there is a chance. And I've been up it and down it and up it and down it, and probably still right here some days, but you get out of it. It's a season. So I go through all the seasons of a dream, and there are hardships, but you can get through it. And it's a trust, and it is back to your faith, for sure.
This reminds me of listening to Tyler Perry's story. Because
Yes.
he talks about how he was like basically living out of his car, and
Yeah.
he was putting all his money into this production he was putting on, and they, he didn't think anyone was going to even show up. And, he
Huge.
looks out and people are wrapped around the corner to come see this production from him being homeless in the car, trying to do this and live out his dream to what he is now. So, it's those everyday little steps. And that's what I hear you saying. It's like these, yes, this is this big dream, but everything I do every single day is leading me there. And that consistency and just not stopping and keeping that faith and keep on the perseverance, like all of that stuff. But it really, I mean, people say those words and they sound nice, but it has to be some action behind it. That's every single day, that action. So yes, I that's a great process that you have people walking through to
Yeah.
kind of get to where they're going.
And
Um,
one great piece that you have to recognize, and I hear one of my favorite priests in my ear, Father Dominique. He's French, and he'd be like, "Oh, the adversaries know something good is coming." So he just is so, he talks so cute. You just have to love him. He's the cutest thing in the whole world, and he's right. When you're doing something good for yourself, that's when it piles on. It's like, oh my gosh, the job, the relationship. Oh my gosh, something happened in my house. It all piles on. And then you have to sit and go, well, that means there's something really good coming, isn't there? And it
mhm.
must be really good because my house is on fire. So it really, it feels like that. You have to sit and go, the adversaries know that something really big is behind all of this, and I have to ride this storm. And that's all part of, the dream storming is the seasons. This is that part of the
Mm.
season. I mean, even today, I got a crazy letter about something that happened like 5 years ago, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to take you to court. And it's like, oh, okay, great. Like, all right, sure, take me to court, give you all my millions that yeah, great. So it's like, sure, pile it on. What am I going to do? You always get through it. And that was just a baloney something, but you always get through it. And you have to realize, like, okay, these jabs are coming at me because there is something huge. There is something really huge coming that's big. And I'm just
Mm.
going to keep moving forward and put the good word out and be on wonderful Boss Live radio with great people like you. And
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think that is an amazing and very true point. It's like everything breaks loose. And it's my pastor talks about that sometimes when he's talking about the distractions. So it's all of this is just the distraction. And so I literally practice saying that to myself sometimes when I see so much happening. It's like, okay, this is so much that it's actually funny because
Yeah.
why do you need to distract me this greatly? Like what you said, it must be something after this. So
And
let me
good.
just stay the course.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great point. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. Believe it or not, like a half an hour has already passed. I knew this was going to be a great conversation when we're talking about, trying to reach your dreams. And so I love the process that you kind of laid out. And so I want you to just, is to wrap it up in a pretty bow. I just like things wrapped up in a pretty bow. can can you just go over? We did a lot of talking today, but can you just go like maybe three things? If I'm pushing it, let me know. But maybe three things that you just really want to leave our audience with today.
Yes, you are divinely made for a reason. Dreams are on your heart for you to pursue, and you were always loved and guided, and don't ever forget that. And I'll leave with number 4 of I believe in you, and I know you could do it.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay, so I am going to share, your website. So you guys, I know you have heard some great nuggets today. So you can find Debbie at her website here. And how do you? This is your short name,
Yes.
Cruz. You just say Cruz, right?
Cruise,
Debbie
yes.
Cruz.
And after a while, everybody will just migrate to cruise at some point. So it's easier to
I
find me
was
that way.
excited to get it right.
I was impressed. I was impressed with when you got it right, but then you're like went into a whole video. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, she's my new marketing manager. I love it. You're fabulous.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I've had so much fun talking about dreams, but this has been an amazing show, and I really want to thank you for joining us, Debbie, and for giving us so much great information.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time and I really appreciate being on your show with you.
Yes, absolutely. So, you guys, give it up for my guest, Miss Debbie. You can't hear the applause, but it's out there today. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You guys, it has been another amazing show. I want to thank my guest, Miss Debbie. I'm going to say her short name now, Cruz. I think that sounds cool. I love it. But thank you for joining me, and I am so excited for you all to share this because that was some great information that she passed along. And definitely, again, look her up. Here's her website. I'll also be dropping that in the chat. Look her up and hear more about this dream coaching that she does. So dream management that she does. So you guys, it's been another great show. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from today, 6 p.m., same time, same place. Until next time, everybody, keep it boss.